Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Louise.
We have a new
Hey,
book.
I know. Look at how pretty the cover is.
It's beautiful. I love the red bird. It's different than the other birds. So, this
I
is Cameron
know.
Lee Small, The Adoptee's Journey from Loss and Trauma to Healing and Empowerment. W- Two little things. So, Cameron Lee Small, he's a clinical counselor, helps transracial adoptees. He's Korean, correct? And he has a practice called Therapy Redeemed, which you can follow online. And he is very religious, okay? And he's very much in the Christian world. And we're not going to focus on that part of the book only because we have a podcast of many types of listeners. But he's doing good work in that community that so needs it to understand adoptees. And
Well,
I think,
exactly. And considering,
mm-hmm,
many, many adoptions are done in the, you know,
exactly,
uh, for from religious organizations to
exactly.
save.
Yeah, the saviorism, and he talks about that. And before you get to the next part, Sarah, look at your favorite thing. On the back cover, every adoption is rooted in loss.
I always say that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that I made that up because I lifted
Yeah,
it
but
from
he has
wherever
it right
else, but
here.
it is. And we have a couple of people we know
Yeah,
that here I'll read it. Haley Radke, Adoptees On.
yeah.
A heartfelt and refreshing examination of what adoptees truly experience because of adoption. Adopted people have complex origin stories, and Cameron Lee Small allegiantly walks us through with compassionate lenses to see the intimate inner workings of the adoptee experience.
Yeah.
And then we have Angela Tucker,
Oh, Angela,
um,
we just finished your
whose
book.
book we just finished. She says evangelical Christianity and adoption are interconnected in various ways. Through reflective prompts and substantive research, this book gently yet powerfully holds Christians to account around saviorism and social responsibility.
Yeah, so I'm curious about it, right? Because
Me too.
we had Mark Diepel on our podcast. A little shout out
Mm-hmm.
to him. He's an Episcopal priest from Colorado originally, and now he's practicing back east, but he is very big on changing things within the church.
Yep.
And
Actually, I think he's in
I
Kentucky,
think is he in
but
Kentucky?
I believe so.
But he's
I
doing
believe.
good work too. It's a
Yeah,
hard I almost feel like it's harder work
I was
because
just going to say because you're dealing with entrenched
yeah.
tenets and beliefs, and that is, we're trying to just change people's minds, but then you get add that religious
Oh, the layer.
aspect into changing your mind, and it's so ingrained and entrenched. So these men are doing great work.
They are. Well, and so we're just going to lightly talk about the prologue because then
Right,
we'll
because we
start.
had some
Yeah.
people reach out and said, "Oh, I'm my book is delayed, so give me a chance to read." So this we're there's some great quotes in
Yeah.
the prologue, and then next week we'll dig into the chapters.
Yeah. And when he first starts this, he says he was talking to CBS Minnesota, right, on TV. And he's talked about some of the events surrounding his relinquishment and being adopted and how it included feeling to be taken on an airplane to another country.
Right.
And he was terrified. Like right away from the beginning, there's another loss. Okay. It's like it's constant with this.
I
Uh,
know. Wait, hold it. Put it on hold for one sec. Sorry.
so he has a content note that kind of got me right out of the gate. Adoptee testimonies are my story are at the heart of this book. There are references throughout to abuse, neglect, various degrees of trauma, loss, grief, interpersonal and institutionalized violence. I do not use content directly from these individual clients, but he works as a clinician to put them all together in a story. But just even him saying that, that's what we're getting into.
I know. And
The reality.
what I think what it sounds like what triggered him was, when he was doing that
Mm-hmm.
CBS thing, then he got someone commented on the CBS website, imagine being adopted into a loving family, then complaining about it. This guy's a piece of something I can't repeat. It just made me think this is what we have to put up with, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can't,
Oh my
you
gosh,
know, and
Cam, you're complaining.
yeah, and it's like until you actually say, and I said this when I was visiting with other family in California after our event and talking, because one of them said, I don't think I know anybody adopted. And I was saying, well, imagine several of
Yeah.
you in here have given birth. Imagine you give birth, that baby's immediately taken from you and placed into a random family of DNA strangers. And that kind of gets people to nod and say, "Oh, yes,
Right.
get it." But you have to,
I know
oh
somebody on
goodness,
TV really thought, oh, here's this guy complaining. It's like, come on, he's educating. How about he's educating?
educating. Right. It's not complaining, it's
Yeah.
educating.
And one thing I liked, he also said there's no such thing as seeing something without a bias. And so he does see things a little bit biasly in his mind. Like I like how he puts out there, okay, I'm not everybody. I'm gonna have some biases. I'm religious. I'm gonna say something someone doesn't like, but he wants you to know at the heart of what goes on in trauma for an adopted person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Exactly.
I think that's neat. Like he seems really thoughtful, just as prologue even.
And this really stuck out to me, made me think of Moses. I'm persuaded that many adoptees could still be with us today if they were simply given the
Mm,
avenues to speak without fear and allies who'd root for us without partiality. Is it a sin to imagine being alive and loved in such a place? Our stories are spread throughout multiple stages of land and lineage. Disconnection looms over the rest of our lives. Parts lay diluted and disjointed. Therefore, adoptee testimonies need refuge and they need to be set free.
that's so powerful.
Which is what we are
Yeah,
doing too with our podcasts, keeping
yeah,
these stories alive and told and archived, you
it's
know?
true. That is
Um,
Sarah, that is correct about Moses, right? Moses Pharaoh.
hmm
He's lost
Yeah,
several of his siblings like this.
yeah, I know. So, I mean, secrets are what kill you. And so therefore it's so great. Again, going back to what we just went through with our
Yeah,
weekend, but just to have a room full of people who understand you, who hear
yeah,
you,
yeah.
who voice the same feelings, it's so important.
It's so important. Well, we're excited to dig in. So, next week will really be the beginning with chapter one, but we wanted to give people time to catch up. We've had so much happening.
Yes. So, chapter one, Missing Family. Again, the adoptee's journey from loss and trauma to healing and empowerment by Cameron Lee Small.
Yeah. And stay tuned for Christine. She's great.
Christine, yeah. See you in a minute.
See you in a minute.